your child's voice in the IEP. And I'll repeat that, noting that we are recording the session. So please mute yourself, turn your microphones off, turn your videos off during the session, unless if you want to turn it on later and ask questions. We will be taking your questions throughout the session. And again, we're only going until 7 o'clock tonight. So this is a brief overview of how you can elevate your child's voice in the IEP by using a one-pager. So welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Please don't forget to raise your hand or add your questions in the chat throughout the session. My name is Amy Clausen, and Jenna and I both work within the USED in Cincinnati, which is the Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities at the University of Cincinnati Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. We assist all people, including individuals with disabilities and their families, to belong and live in a healthy and safe, self-determined community. And in order to do that, we have 4 prongs of priorities. One is community collaboration, where we work with lots of other organizations and people. Another is in research and policy, where we have researchers and policy analysts who share with us and the community the latest findings. We provide training to other disciplines at the hospital and in the community. And we provide information sharing with families just like this session tonight. And next. So before we get into any meat and potatoes, we want to know more about you and why you're here tonight with us. Tell us about your loved one, your children, where you're at with school and IEPs. And we can see this in real time, so thank you for filling it out. We see we have a lot of preteens and younger, and some in the middle school age. So this will help us understand who you are and how we can tailor tonight's information to you and with you. So again, this can be conversational. Please add your questions in the chat or raise your hand and we'll stop. And here's the results. Jenna, it says that I cannot share the results. It gave me an error.
Can I share the results? Do you see that on my
Probably.
screen?
I can't see them, but it would not allow me to share them.
Let me see if that works. Does that work or no? Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
it just shows, it's showing the ages of each person. And I think we're good. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah, looks like we have 20% 0 to 3, 20% 4 to 6. We have 50% 7 to 11. And we have 30% of 12 to 14. So that's great. And it's exciting because, oh, they're saying they can see them. So that's good. Thanks. I'm
That's
so
good.
glad. And then Laura said that she's going to be doing her first IEP in a couple months. And her son will be starting preschool in November. So thanks for coming,
good.
Laura. What an exciting time.
Excellent. Yeah, this session is for you tonight, no matter what age your child is. We wanted to do this for all of you so that you could start off the school year as successful as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to have something to give to your child's new teachers, your new team. And so before we get into that, let's tell you a little bit about us. At Ohio Family to Family, there are three of us around the state. We are statewide. We provide free and confidential one-on-one support with all kinds of things. And we do this because we each have lived experience as well. Um, Jenna is in Southern Ohio. I'm here in Northern Ohio, and Meredith is in Central Ohio. And we help families who have children with special health care needs and disabilities for free, connect with peers, assist with education needs, just like tonight, start you off on the right foot with school, with health care, with disability services, improve your communication skills, find resources, and applying for programs, all of the above. And next.
So I just wanted to tell you briefly about the Ohio Parent to Parent program. It is a statewide program, and it's basically connecting parents or caregivers, anyone that is in the caregiving role. So that can be grandparents, aunts, uncles. It can be staff. It can be even a nanny, somebody that wants to learn and can support one another. So we essentially train up these parent mentors and connect them with people that have similar experiences. So that can be based on their diagnosis, that can be based on the area that they live in, it can be based on a surgery they're going through. Really, the sky's the limit. And it really does depend on what the needs are and why an individual might want to be connected with a peer. So if you're looking for support, there's a website here. If you're interested in becoming a support parent and want to be trained as that, there's a link for that as well. And then if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But just wanted to give you that heads up and tell you a little bit about that opportunity in Ohio too. So the importance of a one pager. I'm sure all of you can figure out lots of reasons why this is important. It really does, it can be such a powerful piece of paper. And there's lots of reasons why it can be so powerful. So we wanted to talk a little bit of why that is. And first of all, it really can create a partnership. Sometimes in these IEP meetings, we go in on the defensive. Sometimes it gets a little, it can be a stressful situation. It doesn't have to be. So these are some of the things that we can put into place to help us reduce our stress when we're going into, and yes, I saw that your question, can we get the slides? Absolutely. We're going to send these at the end as soon as we just ask that you complete a evaluation at the end, and then we are going to send these out to everyone. So hopefully these will be helpful for you later on too. But creating that partnership is really a good first step to ensure that you and the school team are working together. It can, like in the title of this evening's event, Elevate Your Child's Voice. I know I have a son that is mostly non-speaking. He can say a few words, but a lot of people don't really understand what he's saying. And so he uses a total communication approach. This is one of the ways that really helps us to elevate his voice. Because he gets very nervous in that room. And it's not a place that he particularly likes to be. So, so the one pager can definitely elevate his voice. And we create it together. the two of us before the event or before the IEP meeting. So this is one of the tools that can be in your toolbox to help your child's voice come into play. It's person-centered, which is so important. And sometimes it's a good reminder for all of us to remain centered around our loved one, and what is best for their needs. It captures who your child is. It offers that insight to somebody that might not know your child the way that you know them. I know for my son, I'm just going to give an example. For my son, he can be very, very quiet, and he can almost turn inward if he gets too overwhelmed. But as soon as you see him opening up, it's a whole different story. He's a totally different child. And so I want them to hear about both sides of him. When he's turning inward, what that could possibly mean. And then when he is being expressive and certainly letting his personality shine, what that can also mean. So this is a good tool to kind of show those off, and how to get him to get into that role or get to the point where he feels comfortable really showing who he really is. So that I use this to help them really connect with him on a different level. How about all of you? So let's just talk real quickly. I wanted to put this out to all of you. How do you see a one pager being helpful for you? Can you put it in the chat or feel free to raise your hand? We're just going to spend a couple of minutes on this, but how do you see this being helpful for you?
Feel free to unmute and shout it out.
I don't know how to raise my hand.
That's okay.
Oh, that's
I
okay. You can
figured.
just shout out. That's fine.
So actually I am going to not only use the one pager for my son's IEP meetings, but I'm going to, I have a very discombobulated co-parenting situation. And so I plan on creating one for the judge and guardian ad litems and lawyers and counselors and stuff involved. And then also I sit on a council for lived experts, and want to take this information back to them so that they can create a one pager for themselves to go over their story with their lived experience to be able to share too.
Perfect.
Wow,
Oh my
that's amazing.
gosh. So many great ways to use it. That's awesome. Thank you for telling us all about that, because there really are a lot of different ways we can use the one pager. So it's good to hear that. We have a couple of things in the chat. We have starting at a new middle school will be helpful for teachers. Absolutely. That's where I'm at. My son is starting 9th grade, and so he's moving into a new building, and I'm excited for them to all get to read his one pager. So outlining important facts about my child, things he likes and dislikes, helps regulate him. Yes, yes, yes. And all of that helpful for the teachers. Absolutely. Introducing your child to his teachers for sure, Jen. That's perfect. Use it to help her and her teacher thrive together next year. Shows how she thinks and reacts in an effort to regulate and enforces. She is not a problem child. Absolutely. We want to show that our children are human after all, right? And they have feelings, and how we can understand them on a different level. So I love that. I love that. Help to outline what I am seeing at home and see if similar occurrences are happening in the school environment and what we can coordinate to help him the least restrictive way. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. That's great. advocacy at the local or state or national level? Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that advocacy in just a second, actually. So good. Also, to pass out to classmates to encourage social connections at school. That's a great idea. I haven't done that, and I like that idea, Jessica. That's great. Would love, love, love to do that. And then might even be helpful with therapy providers when you get a new one. Absolutely. Yep, for sure. So in fact, in the past, I have used a one pager. I always have a one pager waiting to go for anyone that is with my child at any time. So it's his soccer coaches, it goes to his school, it can go really to anyone. And so there's lots and lots of opportunities to use these for many different reasons. Tonight we're going to try and focus more on the IEP, but again, there's the sky's the limit. Thank you all for participating in that. I appreciate it. So, like I was saying there, we were going to talk about there's lots of reasons why we want others to know about our children. But this tool and having a one pager is also a great way for us to help our children learn certain skills. And that can start really early because the one pager can look any way we want it to. There's no one right way to make a one pager. So we have some examples coming up, but I just wanted to let you know that another reason why we might want to create a one pager is because it really helps us to teach our children about that self advocacy, goal setting, decision making. We can talk about, their self awareness because by completing this, they're going to be talking about themselves. So there's lots and lots of these self determination skills that come out of us completing a one pager with our loved one. So, and again, that can look in lots of different ways, but it is pretty cool to see my son, who happens to have lower self-esteem, not self-esteem, but self-confidence. His confidence is lower because he knows he can't necessarily communicate the way that his friends can communicate. So he gets really concerned about that when he's in certain environments. And so this is a great tool for us to really build that up and build that confidence up in him. Does anyone have any questions about self-determination skills? Or anything else that we've talked about so far? I guess we can kind of go back. I just want to do a check-in real quick. If you have any questions, like Amy said, just let us know. We'll keep working away. All right, Amy.
Great. Thank you, Jenna. So Jenna set the stage for how to have a great start to the school year, or as best as it can be, by you participating in a way that's proactive and sets a positive light on your child. And so we want to share some inspiration and some examples of how other people have put their one pagers together. You can create a beautiful, colorful, really fun, exciting one pager like Jenna has done on the left for her wonderful son, Ashton. And you can see, some people really like to use Canva and have lots of colors to express all the good stuff about their child and what they need and what they don't need. So, like she did, what doesn't work for me. So, think about doing some of that for those of you who are very creative. And then others, like Paul and his parents, put together something a little more simple because he may be younger and they're just starting out their school journey away from preschool or in preschool. And they want to know, they want to share more about what their child's dreams are. And sometimes it's very simplistic. Just to be happy and healthy is all some parents want for their child today. And that's important for their new teams at school and preschool to know. Things that your child loves, being outside and bubbles. And most of all, how to support them. So you can see Paul is pictured as a younger child, much younger, maybe preschool age. And some of you have a child in preschool all the way up to middle school. So this gives you a little bit of a flavor of what you could do for your child. And here's two more on the next slide. And then, you have Addie on the right, who's she and her family maybe put hers together with, again, some colors and a cute photo and maybe some school related apples and pencils. But really, the important things about Addie are included in this. And especially, I would like you to know at the bottom. So again, you can use our version of what you think a one-pager could be, or you can get very creative and style it the way you want to. And it can be a fun project for you and your child to work on together, as Jenna said earlier. And on the left is actually a template that is offered by the Life Course tools called a one-page person-centered description. And we'll get into how to fill out the three focused sections of this, but you can see that you make it your own and it helps you again prioritize the things that are important for your child's education and other needs, because education also includes health, don't forget. It includes a community of support. So, what people like and admire about your child, what's important to them, their quality of life, and how they need supported to be safe and healthy and have a positive learning experience. Those are all things that we'll talk about here shortly that can go on your child's one pager for school.
So yeah, so we wanted to have a template of some sort for you to take home today and for you to use uh, even if you don't have another, format or another page to use, this is a great one to start with. And this is a great one that can really help. We can guide you through and help you think through like what might be on here. I did just want to mention we don't have an example this time around of a one pager that is just pictures. But I have seen the cutest one pagers that 3 and 4 and 5 year olds used that they went through magazines and they cut out the pictures and they would paste the pictures on their one pager and that would be in their one pager. So it doesn't always have to be so wordy. It doesn't have to be, it's something that, there you can make two, you can have your child make one and you can make one and kind of come together and think about it together. So there's lots of different opportunities, but I just wanted to mention that as well because the ones that I've seen that have the pictures on them, oh my gosh, they're just so cute. I love them. So I should have put one in here. But we'll go through just Charting the Life course, one-page description. And again, on the PDF here, Amy, would you mind putting this link in the chat? And
Yes.
just you have this because you can take this home today and get started with it. And even as we're talking tonight, you can think about this as we're talking. You can jot down on your notebook or on your computer, like what do you think you would put in these different boxes, and how do you think that you would think this through at this point? So the first box in the top box is what people like and admire about me. So again, this is in your child's point of view. So we want to use words like I. We want to use words like this makes me. We really want it in that first person language because then it sounds like the person, the child, is speaking to them. And that is an important it's actually one of the most important nuances of the one pager because we really want it to come from the child's voice, not ours necessarily. We're helping to create this, but to make sure that we're really coming from the child's point of view. So we're not really using this as a profile, but who is that person? What do people like about them? When I've asked my son this question in the past, he always starts cracking up. I'm like, why are you laughing? Like, what's so funny about this? And then I realized, well, he's actually telling me that people like it because he's silly, he's funny. And so that is one of the big things he knows. Like we tell him all the time, I love that you're so funny, Ashton. So that's something that he wanted to put on his that, people like that I'm kind of silly. I'm funny to people. So that was something that he wanted to add. So just as an example, what do they do? How do people know them? Um, what if somebody were to look at them, in the community or walking down the street, what would they say about them? So I'm just curious right now, um, all of you out there, what would you say? Um, what's one or two like just quick examples of what you would put in this particular box? Can you put that in the chat for me, or feel free to unmute and talk if you feel comfortable? I love numbers and I love colors. Perfect. One of the things that I remember putting on my sons when he was really little was that he loved flashcards. So flashcards was so motivating to him. And so that was something that we had put on there a lot because that is something a little bit unusual. Most, I don't know many kids that love flashcards, but that was something definitely that he was really into. So I play
Laura,
hockey and rock
yeah,
climbing. My
Laura's
son,
son Do you see it, Jenna? Sorry.
What's that?
Laura's son also loves flashcards. They went through boxes.
Oh, good. Me too. I couldn't keep them all like organized because he would just get them all out all the time and then put them in lines and put them like I don't, he just always had to do something with flashcards. It's so funny. That's cool that your son does too. I love to connect with others about Minecraft, Legos, and vehicles. Oh, sweet. I throw them away when torn up and he gets them out of the garbage. Yes, I know, Laura, me too. Yep, I have to like wait till he goes to bed and somehow wrap them in a plastic bag so he can't see what they are. So funny. Okay, well, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I did just want to, go through if anyone has any questions about these as well. Again, always feel free, but um, this can be a really hard question too. I actually, as a ambassador of Treading the Life course, we've had to complete these forms for ourselves. So we could learn about how to do this with the community and with our loved ones. And when I did this one for myself, it was really hard for me. I don't really think of myself. I don't often think of why people like me or what people might like about me or so this is actually a little difficult for me to complete for myself. So it might be something that is difficult for your loved one too. So we might have to talk them through it, ask them questions. Well, when people smile at you, why are they smiling at you? What do you think they like about you? And um, I've seen you do this. Do you think that they might like that when you do this? So like just prompting some of those and helping them think through maybe a good idea too if they're struggling to come up with some answers. And again, pictures. I mean, looking through magazines or books or photos, um, that's always good too. All right, so the second box is what's important to me. So important too are things that impact our quality of life. They're not necessarily likes or preferences, but they are things that help us feel happy and satisfied and content and fulfilled. So they should be detailed, not just family, but what needs to happen. What will we see? Having dinner 2 times a week with no electronics. That could be something that we might want to put in here. There's 8 categories to consider in this particular box. So there's people to be with relationships, status and control, things to do, places to go, a ritual or routine, rhythm or pace of life, things to have, a purpose and meaning, and culture and identify. So if we're too general in this box, then we will not know how to support, or if the person has what is important to them, which is an indicator of quality of life. So there is a big difference between important to and important for. And so we want to kind of make sure that this box we're talking about important to. So it's not just a preference, but what really in their life makes them satisfied and content and fulfilled. So I know that this can be a little bit of a confusing box, but it is really important for us to kind of think through these things. So thinking about like your ritual or your routines at home, what helps your loved one get through their day in a satisfied way? So, thinking through, like, are there certain places they like to go? Are there certain relationships? I'll put another example out there, and maybe Amy, you can think of an example here too, but like my son prefers my husband to have certain um roles with him at home, and I have certain roles with him at home. That's not always easy for us, by the way, but it does help us to understand that if I help him with the shower, it tends to go a lot smoother than if my husband happens to help him with his shower. If my husband is the cook in our family, and he cooks things specifically how my son likes them. And so if I was to cook something, I tend to make it in a different way. And that's not always the way he likes it. So I'm not saying that this is always easy to do, but this might help your IEP team really understand about what will impact their quality at school. So, what can help make their day go smoother, so they have that quality of life that we want them to have.
Mhm. So Jenna, I actually love this box because quality of life is something that crosses over their whole lives. And if
Mhm.
I think in terms of my quality of life first before my son's, I think in terms of what what hobbies I have that fulfill me, such as hiking, kayaking, um, spending quiet time with my husband. Those are the things that really fulfill me. And Laura, she offered some questions and examples in thinking through her child's quality of life to perhaps put in her this section. So I think it's a boy. I'm going to say he, but I'm sorry if it's a girl. If he needs to stim, that is important to him because that's a way of him feeling good, right? That's a behavior that helps him feel good. So you gave great examples of that, Laura. Doing a puzzle, um, how he spins makes him feel good. That is something we all need to do in how we interact every day. I need to get out and feel the sun on my face. I need to take breaks after working on a big project. Um, my son needs to take a break after he's volunteered all day. How does he take that break is what goes into quality of life here. So it's not just that he needs to take a break, it's how he takes that break. When he was in school, he used to come home and beeline to SpongeBob SquarePants at 2:30 on the TV. That was it. Don't talk to me. I need to decompress. But I also read another example. I remembered when he was in school. He was very motivated by peers. That was hugely important to his quality of life in school during school. And I wanted to make sure that his new teachers, new teams always knew that if Timmy wanted to do well in school, he had to have that peer-to-peer interaction. So keep thinking. I think those are great examples, Laura. You can do it. Keep thinking.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention one of the categories here is purpose and meaning. And a lot of times, because my son is non-speaking, um, I think sometimes it is hard for community members and or sometimes school staff to figure out how he can really bring purpose to the classroom or where his purpose is in the school and how you know Ashton is extremely um observational. He can see immediately by somebody's body in their nonverbal communication, how they're feeling, what they're, if they're struggling or if they're happy, or, and he really feeds off of other people's nonverbal, um, the way that they communicate nonverbally through their body language. So, that is another aspect to this that I just want to mention. Like, it's important to me, it would be important to Ashton to have purpose, but more to have purpose, what does that look like in a classroom? Or what does that look like in the hallway? Or what does that look like in an after school program? So we would explain that further about what that could look like for him specifically, and giving him a job, giving him a role that he would play in that classroom would be something that I would probably bring forth because that helps him. So that's another example of something that you could put into this. I'll just go back real quick and read. I'm just going to read um, this one over here. It says, I love my family and they are important to me. If I'm really having a hard time, my mom and dad can help calm me down. Having breaks throughout my day is very important. If I'm working on something for 15 to 20 minutes, a break is needed. It's important that you truly understand that I take in more knowledge than you think I do. Due to my apraxia, I cannot always communicate what I know easily, but I will oftentimes demonstrate that knowledge or understanding later on. It's important to me that you give me space if I'm having a hard time. Acknowledge that you see me having a hard time, but when you get in my bubble, it can become too overwhelming and I might go into a fight mode. I do have low tone. I can be a little unstable and uncoordinated. And then it talks about escape the heat when it gets too hot. But those are like really important things that can affect her quality of life on a daily basis. So that's a really good example of what you could put in that box too. Does anyone have any questions about what's important to me? Okay. And the last box, how best to support me. So we're gonna kind of shift from listing needs or deficits to identifying how to best support. So you're shifting from describing the person's disability to identifying support to be happy and successful. So it's like as a to-do. So some examples can be to be on time or tell me if you'll be late, give me time to think, show me how to do new things, remind me to wear headphones in a noisy environment. Those are some examples of how best to support me. What are some examples that you all can think of how what you might put in this box for your loved one?
I'll just throw out an example. Sometimes people with physical disabilities, um, helpers at school would want to use hand over hand support physically to do things. And instead, an example that someone could list there in that example would be, let me try it myself before offering hand over hand physical support.
It's a great one. Yep, absolutely. We have some examples in here: needing a quiet space, if there's too much noise, give me time and grace because I'm working on fine motor skills. Yes, absolutely. If there is a time though that works best for your child, you can always mention that. I often get the question, well, how much time does your child usually need? Well, he might need 2 minutes from an activity from this to this. But if we're going from a non-preferred activity to a preferred activity, it doesn't need a lot of time. But to go from a, preferred activity to a non-preferred, we may need some more time, 3 to 4 to 5 minutes to prep him and give him that time to know that he's going to be transitioning soon. So sometimes giving a little bit more specifics in exactly how much time, that's great. But I do think it's important. I love how you said grace, Laura, because sometimes we all need reminders that we just need to give grace. And so I think that can always be an important word to use in a one pager. Repeat instructions or commands if needed. If there are things you need me to remember, make me a visual. Absolutely. Visuals are huge. I have that on my sons too. Give me time to process. I respond well to first then language. Tell me multiple times when we are transitioning to something new and give me a visual timer. Perfect. All of these are great. Allow extra processing time. Specific positive praise. Very good. Very good. And I would even go so far as giving examples of how you praise. So if there are certain words that your child likes to hear, mention those. It's a really good one. A good way for us to be a little bit more specific about what exact words we want to use. And in fact, when we're trying to teach my son a new skill, like we're really honing in on a new skill, the school and I try to come up with unified language that we're going to both use at school and at home. So sometimes that will help too, when we're trying to really hone in on a specific skill. Visual supports, especially if there is a change in routine. Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Yep. Thank you for
Great
those,
examples,
Stacy.
huh?
Yeah. So this is going to be part of your email that we send out at the end as well. This is the one-page person-centered description, but in here are those 3 sections and the descriptions of how to complete each section. So you will get this as well at the end of this session. So you can have that as an example and you can use that as you're completing your first one-pager.
Yeah, so thank you, Jenna. I think having examples of how to do these are really, really helpful. That's how I've always learned, is examples of what other moms and families were doing. So if we were to go through thinking through your one pager for your child and with your child, we thought giving some more tips about how to expand on the questions if you're working with them, especially, or if, say, you would call Jenna or myself after today's session and you needed further help brainstorming. These are just reflective questions and statements on how to complete your one pager. So when someone, whether it's you or your child, says something, what we like and admire about her, just reiterate that in a different way and help them help your child, or we would help you expand on that. And always being curious, using phrases like, tell me more about that. Reflective listening is an example of saying, what I heard is, and repeating what you think you heard. Confirming your interpretation, how I understood what you just said is, and this. These are things as a way to keep the conversation going when you're thinking through your one pager. And, you know, if your child says, I think you're saying this, and it makes me wonder if this would also work, or this could be something we would add in this box. So these are just some helpful reflective tips on thinking through your one pagers. Uh, like I said, we often try to use these reflective statements when we help families and support them. And as we alluded to a little bit earlier in tonight's presentation, there are other ways to share what priorities matter most to you and your child. So think of other ways. Once you get your one pager done, there are so many other ways and so many other people that you could share this with. Some of you and your children might have services with your County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And even one step further, they might have an ISP, Individualized Service Plan, which means that they may have waiver services. Either way, if you're connected with your county board, this one pager can frame those conversations in preparing the service plan. So think through how to creatively use your one pager for those conversations. Don't forget about upcoming medical appointments, meeting new doctors, meeting new therapists and specialists. Sending this to them through my chart message could actually help with that appointment coming up, especially if it's a new person in your child's medical world. Therapies, a new therapist will want to what? Make goals for therapy. So not just in school, but outside of school. Your one pager can help that conversation with the therapist to create meaningful goals for your child. Camps, camp directors, camp counselors, applications for camp. Your child's one pager can be used in building relationships at camp too, if they go to a one-day camp or a whole week-long camp. And some of you whose child has a little bit more complex needs, you may engage in respite care or in-home caregiver supports. We call them providers. A one pager can help that babysitter or childcare provider or home care provider understand your child better as a whole person. And it can really help them understand, okay, this family really cares for their child as if we wouldn't otherwise, but it's really nice to send a new home care provider a glimpse into your child's snapshot. And next. So, before you leave tonight, take our evaluation. Give us your feedback. If you're on your computer, use the QR code. Jenna can you please put the link in the chat?
Yes.
Thank you. And while we're waiting for you all to do your evaluations, are there any questions or comments? Did we jog your brains to help you jump into creating your child's one-pager? I know some of our schools started this week or will start this week. Spend some time with other important people in your family and close friends. Ask them to fill out a one-pager for your child. It'll be interesting to see. If you have time to do that, it's really interesting to see what other people say about your child. And we get some really, really interesting comments from other people outside the family unit. So, Laura, you have a question. Would eating habits be in quality of life section or best support me? Really good question. So, in terms of quality of life, you want to think of food as certain foods are really important to me, and they are comfort foods to me. So, during lunch at school, what makes me feel really good and what's really important for my quality of life to avoid, right? So thinking about the allergies, and where they might sit in the lunchroom. So yes, think about that in that quality of life section. And then again, what's important too, you can weave in some of those health and safety needs. Because what's important to your child could be avoiding certain foods or the feeding therapy. Let's see. We have some really good comments here. Jen says, I wonder that too, as he is in feeding therapy right now and trying to gain weight. Yes, so that might be for you and your child, Jen, to be in the important to box because it's a health and safety need. So it depends on what your focus is there.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if you can go wrong. As long as it's on that paper, it's okay. But yeah, just thinking through where it feels best for you to put it is honestly, it's gonna be okay. So I don't think it has
Such
to
a good
be
point.
in a
Yeah.
specific box to make the impact. So as long as and Alyssa is asking if we use ChatGPT to create a one pager.
Love it.
I have used ChatGPT for lots of different things. I haven't done that for a one pager, but I can see this definitely working as long as ChatGPT knows our child's needs and understands because it is very personalized. So, but if you're having trouble like trying to explain something and you're trying to struggling to find the words by all means, I think it could be a good idea. So you could check that out too.
Yeah, finding words that are unique Yep. I think ChatGPT can be helpful, but humans still have to validate. Alyssa, you're so spot on with that. We all still have to be careful with using AI and especially the privacy. So just be careful with that. We aren't advocating for or against AI, but just make sure you are approving what you pick up from using AI.
Yeah. As
This
long as you're
was
comfortable with it, but yeah.
this was an amazing night. So we hope you got out of it what you had hoped for. And Jenna and I both thank you for joining. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions after tonight, feel free to reach out on our website. We have an intake form, or to Jenna or myself directly. Thank you all. Have a good night. Happy back to schooling.
Thank you. Yes, we can send you the link to the survey.